I remember the exact moment I stopped believing in time. Not because of some theory or equation, but because I watched a child fall to his death twice. And in that terrifying repetition, I knew something was wrong with the universe or with me. Time, I realized, was not moving forward. It was circling, watching me, mocking me. That was the day everything changed. For decades, I treated time as a dimension, an axis in a grand, four-dimensional coordinate system. Past, present, future, mere labels on a line that stretched infinitely in both directions. But it was all theoretical, until that moment, until reality began to disobey itself. I stood still, but the world repeated. I screamed, but the air swallowed my voice, and the boy fell again. Was I hallucinating, trapped in a loop, or had I stumbled upon something I was never meant to see? I remember my hands trembling. My heart wasn't racing. It was absent. I couldn't feel the beat. No pulse, no motion. Just an overwhelming sense that everything I ever believed was collapsing like a dying star. Back in my study, I tore through my notes. Equations, thought experiments, the Lorentz transformations, Minkowski's space-time diagrams. I looked for flaws, not in the universe, but in myself. Was I the anomaly, or had the illusion finally cracked for me alone? They say time heals all wounds. But what if time is the wound? A tear in the structure of reality. What if everything we know is a lie stitched together by perception? Our desperate attempt to organize chaos into cause and effect. I once said, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. I meant it philosophically, but now I wonder if it was a whisper from something deeper, more sinister, something hiding behind the illusion. In the weeks that followed, the signs intensified. Clocks in my home began to drift, not slowly but violently. Minutes vanished, hours repeated. I wrote in a journal only to find the same entry copied pages apart, written in my own hand but without memory. Had I written it twice, or had time folded back on itself? I spoke to colleagues, scientists, philosophers, even priests. Some dismissed me. Others listened, wide-eyed like children told a bedtime horror story. One old physicist whispered, "You're not the first, but most don't survive the knowledge." That night I dreamed, or thought I did. I was standing in an infinite hallway. Doors stretched endlessly to my left and right. I opened one. Inside was my childhood bedroom, my mother singing. But I wasn't 5. I was old. I was now. And she looked through me like glass. Another door. A lab. My chalkboard filled with equations. I watched myself scribbling furiously. I knew the result of the equation, but the other me did not. I tried to warn him. I screamed, "It's not real," but he couldn't hear me, or wouldn't. He paused and then wrote exactly what I had just thought. Was I dreaming of myself in the past? Or was the past dreaming of me? What if every version of me exists simultaneously? Echoes in an eternal chamber where nothing ever begins or ends, only resonates forever? I began to realize something far more disturbing. Time doesn't move. We do. We move through a static universe like a flashlight sliding over a painting, but the painting never changes. It is already complete. This would explain déjà vu, prophecy, intuition, the feeling of having lived a moment before, because perhaps we have. Perhaps the moment never left. We merely returned to it. In classical physics, time was absolute. Newton believed in a universal ticking clock, but he was wrong. Relativity showed us that time is tied to speed, to gravity, to perception. But it never asked the hardest question, what if time doesn't exist at all? The more I looked, the more I saw the cracks. If time were real, how could particles become entangled across light years, communicating instantaneously? How could the universe expand from nothing and yet still contain memory? Memory. That was the key. I thought memories were recordings, but what if they're portals, bridges across fixed coordinates? What we call remembering is simply re-entering. I sat one night by the lake, watching the stars, and for the first time I felt them watching back, not in the mystical sense, but through time. Perhaps their light wasn't just arriving, perhaps it was choosing too. I reached a terrifying conclusion. Time is not a river, it's a mirror maze. And every choice you've made, every path not taken, every word unsaid, echoes eternally in another room, another version, another door. So what now? If time is not real, if we are just flickers across frozen space, does anything matter? Yes, more than ever. Because meaning is not in movement. It is in awareness, and I am aware now, terribly, beautifully aware. I no longer live in time. I live in moments, in still frames. I do not age, I accumulate. I do not wait, I witness. And when my voice falls silent, know this, somewhere, somewhen, I am still watching the boy fall, still screaming, still discovering the lie we call time.